Okay, a few minutes later, the stencil has finished, so let's see what it looks like in 3D. And you can see that we've got our text in the background here, and here's our roulette wheel that's stenciled in. And what's great about it, just like our craps table, is that now that is surface is actually part of the geometry, allowing us to be a lot more flexible with the materials we put on. But the bigger issue is that we can get right down on top of these and don't worry about image maps or anything else. So it looks really, really nice. Now, there's a couple little things with this wheel before we completely finish. I'm going to take this text because it's all lined up. Command X to cut, Shift N for new, Command V to paste, Control S, and this will be roulette fonts, the initial one, and I'll call this one placed. So that way you have them if you need them. And then we'll close that out. All right, we'll save this one. I don't actually need this anymore, so we'll cut those off. And for this, Command X to cut, Layer 1, Command V to paste, and we'll Shift S to save it as a new version. Now, there's a couple little issues here, because I was getting all carried away with styling this thing, and realized that in order for this ball to really drop in the real world, this transition from here to here should actually be smooth. We shouldn't be able to design this because the ball could get caught in there, of course, as well as here a little. And it's not a big deal for right now, but just so you're aware, you can select these polygons here. And actually not those, you want this one. You can select these here, or even better yet, kind of like we've done before. Take two of these here, select the loop, shift right bracket, and I can actually scale these, press the H key, based on their pivot. Oh, not that pivot. Hold on. Based on their origin. And then move them down. And just kind of work with that a little bit to flatten out that ledge. So you can stretch it, flatten it, then move it back up. I'm going to leave it for right now because I think it's okay. Oops. Let's go back one. The other thing you do is, of course, work with edges. And you can take a couple of edges right here. Not those. Select loop. Make sure I get it all. There we go. And you can simply just use your move tool and move that edge up too. That might be a better way to go. And the whole point here is that you create a nice slope into this area in here so the ball can drop. Okay. And you can do it inside here as well. Or just if you've watched this and you haven't modeled one, or you're going to model one in a little bit, something to pay attention to, that if you want this exceedingly accurate to the real world, I keep hitting the wrong key, you definitely want these areas smooth. So you bring up an edge, and then you can bring up another edge. Select loop. I should probably put a keyboard equivalent on that loop key, shouldn't we? And then bring up that edge. And of course, what we're doing is just making that all smooth. You can still keep it stylized and shaped nicely, but just not so much of a pocket there for the ball to get caught. Okay, so it's kind of important to mention as I saw this, as I was looking at the model. You know, just to smooth out that area. Okay, but overall, it's looking really good, and it's going to look better when we put some surfaces on it. So with it saved, let's send object to layout. That's going to work through the hub. And if your hub is not working, just save this and then go ahead and load it up. And my screen is too big, so let's pull that back down. All right. Now we're going to do something kind of similar. We're going to take the camera, press P. Let's bring it down to about 10 millimeters for the field of view. Use globals in the camera panel. We're going to control that with a level 9 anti-aliasing. And we'll close that out. Shift C for camera, T for move. We'll push in. And yeah, there we go. Kind of fun. Okay, now I'm going to press my left bracket key a few times to shrink my grid size. And now we got this cool, fun roulette wheel we can travel around. But let's get some surfaces on here. Let's get some lighting on here. My camera might even be a little too wide. Let me pull that up about 5 degrees or so. Just a little too severe because it was starting to warp a bit. Okay, Control S. We're going to save out this scene as roulette wheel. Now, I'm doing these all in black backgrounds because we've got a lot to cover in these videos, all these videos. But one thing that was important that I should have mentioned in the craps table tutorial is that you can put volumetric lights in the background just for style. You can put an image back there. You don't always have to leave it black, of course. Here's our light. Take our light view. I'm actually fine with a distant light. I'm just going to rotate it down a bit. Okay, so that it kind of comes in from the top side there. But the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to clone it. And light 2, I'm actually going to move back here, get our camera view, and I'm going to rotate it around. And where are you, camera? That's one light. My camera's just to the left here, isn't it? This is the one issue with trying to get your when your grid size is so small, you end up having a little trouble seeing your camera. And what I'm doing is putting that from the back. So when I'm back here, down here in the camera view, we've got some nice light coming from the back there. So that's from the front, and I'm just rotating the light. That second light. There we go. So we got a nice little highlight there. And for the second light, press P to get the properties. We'll call this backfill. I'm going to make this light just a fun, kind of crazy orange color. And for the front light, we'll call this the main light. Going to come down here and don't necessarily need it too blue, but give it a bit of a tint. We'll see how that looks. More of an evening color. Save the scene. And let me do just a quick render here real quick for you, so you can see what that lighting looks like. Because I couldn't make the fonts as fancy. I didn't actually have a thin font that was somewhat stylized. So I just we're gonna spice this up with some lighting. Okay, so looking pretty good, but we need some shadows. Definitely like the warm light, and we definitely got to work on those surfaces. So we'll go to render, render globals, render ray trace shadows. We're also going to put on reflection, and I'll show you why. Under the surface editor, let's come up here to our black area, gold metal, green, red, silver, and text. Those are our surfaces. And, of course, we have our wood. For the wood, I'm going to hit texture, image map, load image, and we can use that wood that we used for the craps table, or I put another one in there just called wood. Just like that. Okay. I don't know if I like that one as much, and you can actually see it being applied back there. That's planar. I would map it cylindrically, but because it's vertical, it's a little odd. So you can actually rotate it. You know, if you go like 90 degrees like this on the heading, you can see it actually stretches it out. It's looking kind of You can even try 90 degrees on some of the other axes. See what it looks like. It's okay. You know, it's not really the most high-res image, and we can blend this, but we can also try using this other one too, and just map this around the Y. Put this back to 0. I think I like the overall tone of this wood a lot better. Okay, so they're both in there if you want to use it. So just automatic sizing cylindrically around the Y. Now, the other thing with this surface is that it's a little too smooth. Smoothing's on for all of this stuff. I'm going to bring this down to about 20. And you'll see here that that shape now quite isn't so... If you turn it off, you can actually see right in here. Okay. For the other areas, let's move on to the next video and we'll set up those surfaces.